Hello, everyone, and welcome to our little chat about how JumpCloud transitioned from an in-office work model to a work-from-home model in a very short period of time. I'm Ryan Bacon. I'm the IT support engineer for JumpCloud, and joining me is Noah Rosen. He's the IT support technician at JumpCloud, and together we are the internal IT team. Say hi, Noah.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So our what we really want to do, the purpose of all of this is, as you know, with the COVID-19 pandemic out there and everybody taking precautions and doing their best to flatten the curve, uh, a lot of organizations, including JumpCloud, are have seen the need to transition to a work from home model, just to help facilitate social distancing and help kind of slow the spread of this pandemic. um, and as I'm sure everyone also knows, that the updates on this pandemic, that the news about it, the information about it, and how fast it's spreading is the pace at which it's spreading is insane. It's just incredibly fast. So uh, JumpCloud, a few weeks ago, or actually last week, not a few weeks ago, we started looking at doing some test days, some mandatory work from home test days for continuity of business, and that transition to a mandatory long term work from home. We'll go over the timeline a little bit later, but I'm just wanting to set the stage to to explain why we're doing what we're doing. And why we're doing this is, as the IT team of JumpCloud, we would like to share our experiences with other people in the IT industry, to show what we did, what helped us, what challenges that we had. And we're doing this because we know that there are a number of organizations who have either rarely or never had their employees work remotely. And we're just doing what we can to help. There's a lot of information out there, some good, some bad. Hopefully we are, it's our hope to add to that good and helpful information.
Yeah, trying to cut down on the chaos of an immediate switch to working from home, not a gradual switch. For a lot of companies like ours, it was days, literally days, where one day we're told, "Yep, we might go to work from home," and then the day after that, everyone's working from home. So
Exactly. And that leads into our timeline. So on March 10th, we started planning for uh, the mandatory work from home days to test for business continuity. Pretty much we're looking at it as one, pretty much one day a week for a few weeks. We do mandatory work from home to show that everything is, everything will work, that business continuity is there and will not suffer. The very next day, the with updates of positive tests in our area, and even with not in our office, but like people in our office, like spouses or friends that they work with, had exposure to some way. So it was getting too close for comfort. So things changed quickly, and it was decided that we need to make that move immediately. So it was, so we started planning on the middle of the day on March 10th, and the first work from home day was going to be March 12th, and then later on that the week after, and so on. But on the 11th, we're like, okay, we are going to be working from home for the foreseeable future. So that was a lot of stuff that Noah and I had to to plan for, to get ready, to get everybody ready to work from home. So I think that it's very important to put things into perspective with where we started. We are a fairly young company. We're just what, I think we're 5, 6 years old, thereabouts. I'm sorry, I'm not completely up to date on my JumpCloud history, but we are a fairly young company. And so there's a few things to keep in mind. So we are a cloud native organization. So, and as you know, it means we use a lot of SaaS applications. We use AWS. We have very few on-premises resources. Other things that we've done to allow our workforce to be a little bit more mobile is that everybody's workstation is a laptop, and it's managed by the JumpCloud platform. We already make heavy use of Slack for internal communications. We already have VPN set up. We have an IT asset management system in place so that we can log who's assigned to who has what asset and so on. We, over the course of the past year or so, our new hire onboarding, we have heavily automated that. We have process in place for hiring remote workers. We do have a couple full-time remote workers, but our we've never done our entire workforce working remotely. And at the time, we did not provide equipment for home use, and so we, that's where we started. Can you think of anything else, Noah, to add in there?
I'd just say that we were lucky as a company that we were already set up in a way that a work from home transition was relatively smooth for us, just because we had a pretty automated setup in general. And honestly, a huge part of that is JumpCloud itself enabled us to transition our entire workforce to a work from home model without any significant changes to our existing protocol.
That's very true. I mean, both Noah and I are very hesitant and try to avoid sounding salesy if at all possible, because we're IT people. That's what we do. We're not out there to push our product, but I'd be remiss if I didn't give credit where credit's due. So it is, I honestly think that one of the main reasons why we were able to quickly transition to this remote work model is that we do heavily rely on our own product. So we drink our own champagne or eat our own dog food, however you want to put it. And these remote working environments, as well as really dynamic working environments, having to switch from in-office to remote, are places where the JumpCloud platform really does shine. It's domainless. It's referred to as supporting a domainless enterprise. So it does equally well off premises as on premises. You have your system and user management. You can do policies. It has features such as our command runner and system insights that assist in remote support. It does SAML, SSO, Radius, LDAP, to allow for authentication with your resources. And what we use a lot for automation is it does have a PowerShell module that wraps around the API, so you can programmatically interface with the platform easily. So I do honestly feel that it is because of this platform that we were able to make this transition quickly. But enough of that. Let's move on to more of what we did, and we'll talk about suggestions that we have, tips and tricks. So some important things that we had to do. So we did have to reassess our policy on not providing equipment for people's home offices. So the decisions changed. First is like, okay, we'll allow for inexpensive peripherals, like mice and keyboards or laptop stands, that sort of things. It ended up being that to allow people to be as effective and as efficient as we can. It was just opened up to say, okay, you can take anything from your workstation home, just as long as as long as they report it to us, and so that we can keep track of things. So how we did this, so it was two parts. So we created a Google form that we sent out to everybody that asked on there, okay, what did you take home? And for the stuff that we needed to track, so in our asset management system, such as monitors, we're like, if you took this home, please provide the serial number for that device. So then we could take that and update it, make sure it's updated and accurate in our system, because we were in the middle of doing a full inventory to get our asset management system up to date. This kind of threw a wrench in that, but then again, it is kind of helping with us get a head start on that inventory. So silver linings and all that. So another thing is that we were letting people back into the office to pick this stuff up. So what we had to do is get extra assets ready for people to take home. So extra keyboards, mice, cables, power strips, a whole bunch of stuff. Normally, we have a shelf that's in the office that is kind of a help yourself to IT stuff that's on there. We have batteries and various adapters and cables and mouse pads, little stuff like that. That it's more efficient to let people go and grab stuff off of there than go through a ticket and take our time to to hand out a mouse pad or a keyboard. So that was already there, but we did expand it to other things. And also it helped in other ways that we had a bunch of old equipment that we were getting ready to purge, that were left over from our old offices that we did not need in our new offices. So this also helped us get rid of our huge stockpile of cables and power strips that we had. So it was good in a lot of ways. The other important thing is that we had to make ourselves more available than normal to help people get set up from remote work. So normally we'd call it a day and would only be quick to respond for like emergencies or vital things, or frankly if we were bored, and after hours times. But with this, it was very important that we did make ourselves available even later in the day or on the weekend than we normally would, so that we can make sure that people are up and ready to go as soon as possible.
It really boils down to easing the transition for users, making it as simple as a transition as possible without creating a huge amount of transition work. Essentially, we want the users to quickly be able to move towards a work from home environment without filling out huge amounts of forms, without having to learn new processes and protocols. We'd rather just basically stay out of the way as much as possible and simplify the process of provisioning IT equipment, simplify the process of getting people software, just so there's as little friction as possible in a large change like this, so people aren't slowed down when they're getting back into the flow of work.
Right. I mean, as internal IT support, it is our job to help other people do their job. So we, especially in a case like this, we need to make sure that we're doing that and we're being as efficient and as helpful as possible. And I think that's key to a smooth and quick transition. So I'm talking a lot, so I'll hand this next part off to Noah. And so Noah, can you talk to like some of the challenges and some of the hurdles that we experienced while going through this process?
Yeah, of course. I like a lot of companies. This was a pretty unexpected change in a lot of ways. Moving to a work from home environment, many companies, when they start hiring remote workers, they have months to practice and get all their processes set up and get all the tools distributed to users and teach the users how to use those tools. But like many companies, we had, and as what Ryan went over with the timeline, we had maybe 24 hours notice before full remote for every user. So it was definitely a test and production situation where whenever we needed to, when we had to start rolling out tools for remote workers, um, it complicates the troubleshooting process and it complicates the rollout if there's any issues at all. So again, testing in production, never great, but if you have your tools set up in advance, good VPNs distributed to all your users, the right software tools available to them, and identity and system management, then you can make that transition less painful and more natural feeling. Um, Also, communication with users. Most companies, especially most companies in the tech world, use some form of team messaging like Microsoft Teams or Slack. We personally use Slack, but even with that, even with a communication method like that, it still complicates the process of communicating with people because you can't just stop by somebody's desk if it's hard to explain over Slack, or if a user has an issue that you have to resolve and you maybe don't quite understand what they're explaining over Slack, or it's too hard to verbalize in messaging, you don't have the option to just walk up to someone and ask them and sit down in front of their system, which moves into the remote hardware support. Troubleshooting hardware remotely can be incredibly difficult. If someone's computer doesn't turn on or their microphone's not working and you don't see anything wrong from a configuration point of view, there's very little you can do without having the user themselves do some troubleshooting. So finding documentation for them to go over to do their own diagnosis is a huge part of moving to a remote environment. Home networks as well. When everyone works from a central office, we have a controlled network that we set up all of the tagging on. We give people access to the resources they need, external and internal. And we also have a relatively reliable setup. But when people are working from home, many people don't have fast internet, they don't have reliable internet, they may not have access to the routers if they're in an apartment building. So anything that goes wrong with those networks may be out of our hands, and require some of the users own troubleshooting work and basically making them a network administrator, um, or taking over the role of a network administrator for their own network, as well as underlying issues that weren't a problem when people are in the office kind of become problems. People who have VPN configurations that aren't working. Many people don't use these very frequently. So as soon as they go to a remote environment and are using these more frequently, they start realizing all these underlying problems that they didn't even know were there are kind of bubbling up. So it puts a lot of load on an IT department to resolve problems that normally would have been spread out over a long period of time. Instead, they're all consolidated into a very short little burst of tickets.
Yeah, it was something that that honestly I wasn't quite expecting. I was thinking that we would be more getting stuff ready and doing doing more processes and stuff like that. But honestly, we have been super busy with, as Noah put it, this consolidation of like normal stuff that people just didn't know about. So that was a very, very interesting thing. And how we dealt with this is we did have numerous processes. We did have a lot of stuff already in place because we do give the option for people to work from home and that sort of thing on from time to time. So it was just a matter of scaling those processes and adjusting to a full-time work from home model. And there have actually been a number of things that helped us uh, get to where we are now, which is stable. We are business is going on as usual, pretty much across all departments. So it's going really well. And what helped us get there is several things. So first off, there have been several companies and several products that we started leaning on in different ways, or that have opened up expanded their services to help with this pandemic. So, for example, we're a Google shop, so we use G Suite for our email and a lot of Google Docs and that sort of thing. And for our conference rooms, we use Hangouts. We're actually recording on Hangouts right now. Usually, the ability to record on a Google Meet is restricted to their enterprise accounts, which we don't have. But Google has opened up the ability to record meetings, to do live streaming of meetings. They've increased participant caps on meets. They've opened that up to other types of G Suite accounts. So that has been really helpful, because as things were, we were set up for like all hands meetings where we would expect half of our people to be either on at the meeting in person, or like gathered in conference rooms at remote sites. That's not happening now. Everybody's going in to joining these meetings from their system, so everyone is a single participant. We can't really group them together, so that increased participant cap. If it weren't for that, we wouldn't be able to have everybody join our meetings unless we went ahead and upgraded to a G Suite enterprise account. So this is something that I didn't see advertised by Google very publicly. I kind of heard about it in a roundabout way, but it is there. For the meeting recordings and live stream, you will need to go into your G Suite settings and enable them. For the participant cap, that is just automatically on there. So if you use Google Meet, you can now have up to 250 people, 250 participants joining your meeting. Live streaming, I think that you can live stream for out to like 100,000 users. It's probably more people than any of us will ever need to live stream out to. And as Noah mentioned, we use Slack, but there are certain features in Slack that we didn't start using until now. So instead of trying to distribute everybody's phone numbers, and honestly, I've worked in places where the entire company had the IT admin's phone number, and that's not the best experience for the IT admin. But Slack actually has a call feature built into it. So in Slack, you can make a call to other people in your workspace, and that's part of the Slack plan. You can also do screen sharing. So we've started using that more for those instances where things may be difficult to describe in text, and to have more like real-time communication with somebody. So that's been very helpful. If you are looking at ways to do these remote meetings where you need to like be able to where you normally go and jot down on a whiteboard and stuff and show that, there are products out there that will help. So you have Jamboard, which is included in several of the G Suite packages. I think at least G Suite Business and higher. But also if you're Zoom shop, Zoom has whiteboarding features on there if you didn't know about that. So there are various virtual platforms to help with remote collaboration. Something that really helped us process-wise is to have a really user-friendly ticketing system and very easy to use processes for interacting with IT. As was mentioned earlier, our job is to make everybody else, or to help everybody else work effectively and efficiently. And so we already had processes in place to make interacting with IT easy. And it doesn't, it didn't change really when we moved to remote work. So we used help Slack-based ticketing. So people still just, that hasn't changed. People still Slack us. We can convert it into tickets if it needs to be tickets. We can deal with it. It's a very streamlined workflow, and with it, it's more important that it's streamlined and easy to use during times where everybody's working remotely, because you need to have people comfortable with it, where they can reach out to you when they need help, and that you can also respond quickly and effectively. Something else that our management team did was that they created an FAQ for remote work that went over policies, like why we're doing things, what is going to be expected, everything like that. They did that, and that leads into communication. Communication is going to be vital from you to your end users, what you're expecting, what you need from them, set that expectation, and also be on top of it. If you're needing to get serial numbers from monitors that people took home, you need to be assertive. Don't be a jerk, but be assertive with it to get the information that you need. You letting them take stuff home to help them work is, it's a right, or it's a responsibility on their end. It's not, it's not necessarily a right on their end. So they do have a responsibility to work with you to get what you need. So make sure you're on top of communication. Make sure you communicate what you need from your end users clearly. And, like I said, don't be a jerk, and, work with them, be flexible. I mean, you have to be flexible in these times. You have to be adaptable. And finally, something that will also help out, I'm going to, again, try not to sound too salesy, is, JumpCloud platform. Like I mentioned earlier, this is what we do. This is what we're there for. We do have free trials for up to 10 users and 10 systems that's free forever. If you stay under those numbers, it's a free account for as long as you have it. If you need more than that and you want to give it, kick the tires a little bit more, we do have what we call our Jumpstart program, where you just reach out to us, and we can work with you on getting a free trial set up that has unlimited users and unlimited systems on it, full feature access. So take a look at that, jumpcloud.com. Like I said, we're doing this to try to share with everybody the information that we've gathered and the practices that we put in place to help us with this transition. Noah, do you have anything else to add?
I was just going to add a few examples of how we use our own product.
Sure.
To ease the transition to work from home. We have to give a user or provision a user account in any service that we support single sign-on with. It's much easier for that user just to go to their JumpCloud user portal and click on the application, as opposed to us having to share credentials with them over potentially unsecured networks. When we need to make a change to a user's system, we can use the command runner to run commands directly on their system as an administrator without giving that user administrative access to that system, as well as using JumpCloud's Radius service to authenticate the VPN. So when users connect to our remote VPN or our internal VPN, they use their Radius credentials, which are managed by JumpCloud, so they don't have to remember or save an initial password anywhere.
Right. You could also use LDAP to authenticate VPNs.
Yes.
All right. So thank you, everyone, to take time to listen to us, share our experiences. Again, my name's Ryan Bacon, IT support engineer with JumpCloud.
I'm Noah, IT support as well.
Yep. So thank you very much. Be healthy, stay safe, and please let us know if there's anything that we can do to help you out. Check us out at jumpcloud.com. you could email info@jumpcloud.com or sales@jumpcloud.com, and we will do what we can to help you guys out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.